Tensions are running high over the claims that the government missed this crucial opportunity last year when Greg Hunt declined an invitation to meet Pfizer's global executives. We've got Insider's host David Speers to work his way through it. We saw yesterday, good morning David, we saw yesterday that the PM was standing by Greg Hunt, but is it clear why the Health Minister didn't meet Pfizer's global executives at the earliest opportunity?
No, Lisa, it is not. Look, the Prime Minister's defence here is that at the time, Australia and the advice he was getting was Australia needed sovereign vaccine capability. This was to make vaccines here, and fair enough. That was a really important thing to do. The deal was done with AstraZeneca and CSL. But what hasn't been explained is why more wasn't done to hedge bets, to have other options, to have insurance should something go wrong, as ultimately advice did change on AstraZeneca and all the problems we know that caused. Now, the Prime Minister on Pfizer says the Pfizer priority at the time was what was happening with the big outbreaks in the US and the UK, but that doesn't explain why Pfizer was also doing deals with a number of other countries, nor does it explain why Greg Hunt didn't take up this opportunity, as the letters we see this week revealed, that Pfizer was offering in a meeting with the Minister with its global executives, talk through on a confidential basis where they're at with their vaccine development. Now, when specifically asked why didn't the Minister just take up that meeting that was offered, the Prime Minister simply said, I'll let others make those judgments. So not exactly a ringing endorsement of that refusal to take up the meeting, which I think is the hardest thing to explain here.
I think that struck me, that response from the Prime Minister, which you've picked up on. But he's Greg Hunt's boss. Surely he has to make a judgment on that. Yeah,
and I don't think he can defend that. So he is only defending his minister to a point there. In the broad, he's explaining what was going on at the time, why the priority was with AstraZeneca and why, in his view, Pfizer was more focused on the Northern Hemisphere. But you really can't defend, can you, Michael, why the minister wouldn't say, absolutely, give me a meeting with those global executives at the time. And so he didn't. That's the bottom line.
No, you can't at all. Now, Scott Morrison has also strongly backed New South Wales, David, and its plan for reopening, and he's also used the opportunity to again urge other states and territories to follow, which is fine and good. But what are the risks, if any, for the Prime Minister here?
Look, there are risks. I mean, what the National Reopening Plan does is give the states a lot of scope, right, to make their own decisions, judgments on exactly when and how to ease restrictions. And what we've seen from Gladys Berejiklian yesterday in this plan is that she is going for the speediest reopening she can once that target of 70% of adults being vaccinated is hit. The following Monday, as you've been reporting this morning, yes, there are density limits, but all sorts of things open up. Hospitality, retail, you can have people visit, you can travel and so on. What are the risks? Well, we hear confidence from Gladys Berejiklian and from the Prime Minister about how this is going to go, but we really don't know what the impact will be on the hospital system. We really don't know how things are going to go with ensuring everybody is double vaccinated who visits these venues, that the workforce, you're just hearing President Biden talking there about making vaccines mandatory. Well, essentially what's been announced yesterday is also making vaccines mandatory for the workforce in all of these retail and hospitality outlets. That's what Kerry Chant was indicating yesterday. How's all that going to work? We still don't know. Look, eventually, yes, these steps are going to be needed. The question is 70% of adult vaccination too soon or not? And I think any politician who tells you with certainty that they know is kidding you. We really don't know. This is going to be a gamble. This does carry political risk. And for a Prime Minister who backed this strongly yesterday, he's facing an election before Gladys Berejiklian. Roughly in about 6 months from now, you can see that, yes, there's a great deal at stake for him here too.
Speaking of elections, gee, this is interesting. The swap that Kristina Keneally's making into a safe Western Sydney seat. There's some Labor locals who aren't happy. What's gone on?
Look, it says, Lisa, a lot about the Labor Party when a heavy hitter like Kristina Keneally, who's the Deputy Senate leader, so part of the leadership team, Shadow Home Affairs Minister, a former Premier to boot in that state, can't be given the top spot on the Labor Senate ticket in New South Wales. Instead, that looks set to go to Deb O'Neill, a backbencher, yes, from the same faction, but a backbencher who just happens to have the support of the Shoppies Union. That's why she's been given the top spot. So the deal's done for Kristina Keneally to instead shift to a lower house seat, the seat of Fowler. The problem there is parachuting someone from across town and pushing aside a candidate who is lining up for the seat, who's the daughter of Vietnamese refugees and backed by the outgoing member Chris Hayes. This candidate, Tu Lei, obviously disappointed as well at being shoved aside. But look, this happens in politics. If the deal is done, the deal is done. Kristina Keneally will move in. It's not the only party, of course, that does is parachute someone into a seat without a pre-selection. Just ask Scott Morrison.
Oh, yes, indeed. Politics can be a brutal business at times, can't it, David?
It sure can.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, guys.